Hey now, hour number 2 of the line. Talk 995 and talk995.com. AndrewMcLeanWho.com. Coming up at the White House, Trump news conference amid the Iranian conflict. We'll see what he's got to say while we stare out the window and watch the snow. It seems to have slowed down a little bit, but everything outside except for the ground's covered with snow, which is exciting. Very exciting. Hey, let me tell you about Deep South Construction Pros because this is, it's snow, but it's wet weather as well. And with the wet weather comes the moisture in your crawl space and in your basement, and it creates a problem that ultimately gets very expensive very quickly if you don't get it handled. And that's where these guys come in. Deep South Construction Pros. Love what these guys do. Love what they stand for, which is Alabama roots. These guys are local. They're not based out of any other state. They're right here in Alabama. And that's the kind of business I like, man. I like businesses that where all their money is spent in state. Well, if we ain't going to be able to get a lottery in this state, we might as well get businesses that are pouring money back into the state, not sending them somewhere else, right? That's what I like to see. Deep South Construction Pros. So, I go through it every time. You know what to look for, that moldy, musty smell in your basement or crawl space. The moisture, sometimes you can see water puddling up. You may have irrigation problems outside. Ultimately leading to foundation issues, cracks in the bricks, windows and doors not opening and shutting like they used to, lintels sagging. All these different things come with that sort of thing. They handle all of that. So what you need to do is reach out to them. And if you just simply got questions, if you've never been down this road before as a homeowner, ask them all the questions you got. They'll explain it to you, the process, the pricing, everything. They got you covered. Just call them, make sure you mention me, Andrew Mclain. Let them know I sent you, and they will do whatever you need them to do. 256-305-1854. That's 256-305-1854 and Deep South Construction Pros.com.
By the way, Troy called in and said the interstate bridges are now starting to freeze. Please be careful.
Is that the case? Is that what we got?
Yeah, that's what he firsthand.
Let's see. Looking to see some reporting of that. There does seem to be wrecks all over the place, which would normally come with weather like this. A little bit of a backup on 59, coming towards Birmingham from Fairfield area. That's around the Fairview area, Inslee, I guess Inslee area, where the Inslee exit is kind of where the backup starts. Nothing crazy there. And honestly, no real backups anywhere else. Even though there are a few wrecks out there, there's not any backups. There's probably a lot of people that have just gotten off the road in general because of this. I mean, visibility was limited there for a moment, at least where we were at, with as much snow that as was coming down.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be smart because you think about the bridges, they're not on the earth that rotates.
Oh, yeah, the bridges freeze faster.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no telling how cold it is right under the bridges.
Yeah. So
trolls that live under the bridge, please be careful and stay in your caves. Please don't come out.
Yeah, it's too cold.
No.
Yeah, the bridges freeze faster because they're out in the open and they're susceptible to the wind and everything else. So if you got to go across a bridge, just kind of creep because even if it's just turning into slush, it's still dangerous out there. Hopefully this stuff chills out in a minute. It's still snowing just as hard here, John Bird. It ain't let up.
They're calling for it through 12, and then the wind is supposed to really pick up. So.
Maybe it'll blow all the snow away, and everything will be fine.
That'd be great.
If you've got traffic updates, let us know, man, because obviously we've got a lot of people that are listening to us that are traveling, and we want y'all to be safe. Tommy says it was 24 degrees during Snowmageddon, not comparable. Keith sending us a video of Pinson. A lot of snow there. Joel says stay below freezing for days in 2014. More videos. Everybody's sending us videos on the text line. Snowing in McCalla, light wind north and west. Trucker Bobby says, hey, now, my house in Coleman, the snow is coming down in buckets and it's snowing sideways. Damn it, Glenn says, coming up 280, headed to Mountain Brook. He sent us a video as well. Everybody's showing us. And says, that is the most hideous thing I have ever heard. That was from 1054, so maybe she was talking about your Rudolph song.
She could have been, or probably the snow.
But what's your response if she's talking about your song that you picked?
Well, I was trying to find one just about snow, and heavy metal people don't like to talk just about snow. They like to talk about Rudolph. And
have I turned you into kind of a heavy metal guy a little bit?
No, I've always appreciated it. It's
really?
just for the past 15 months, I haven't really listened to a whole lot of music.
But now you're back in Andrew Mclain world and hearing some of that more heavy music.
Yeah, man. I like chainsaw guitar as much as anybody else.
Maggie says John Bird crosses over to the dark side in wrestling and becomes the Vulture.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So you remember back in WCW, Sting was this guy that kind of had this bright 80s face paint, and he was out there, and he was very energetic and everything else. And then he disappeared around the time that Hulk Hogan turned into a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back as kind of, he was Sting, but he looked like the Crow from the movie.
Yes.
And that's what you could do. You could come back in that black and white face paint, kind of looking like the Crow, but you're the Vulture.
Yeah.
And you come down from the top. They lower you down on a rope. You come from the Raptors.
And oh my gosh, I have a big cape that I hold out and fly.
Yeah.
Or no, I would do it like that because that's the way vultures do. I just walk around like that with my head down.
And then you do your vulture call.
Call. What would it be? Like, wait, that's not, no.
Sounds like a clown car.
How about?
Yeah, that's what you do every morning when we start the show.
Actually, yeah. So
you can just do that.
I'm in practice.
B-Rad, hey no, roads are too warm. Bubba Rumble says, look like Andrew and Jay Bizzle might be having a snow slumber party at the station tonight. No homo.
Those are fun now that we've got our leather chairs in the other room.
I mean, I could actually sleep on those chairs. It's not too bad. William says, my car says it's 33 degrees. Where you at, William? Those car thermometers aren't very accurate.
No, because, I mean, don't they take the temperature like when you're riding down the road?
Well,
so it would be cooler, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's usually more accurate. At least mine is more accurate when I'm driving, but when I first get in, it's usually kind of off.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pictures from Avondale Park. Everything's covered up. Justin says snowing in Helena. Dwayne says, hey, Andrew, you should come up to the ACW Sports Arena in Boaz. They're the longest running independent show in the state, over 40 years. Come check it out sometime. Well, we'll come check it out under one pretext. Is that the people that run it will have a meeting with us and show us around after the show.
Yes.
And let us talk to the creative team and the writers.
Oh, no.
So we can pitch them an idea.
And we'll call it the Vulture Tour.
Yeah. Trump just now sitting down at the White House next to Susie Wiles and Mike Johnson to his right. They're going to be he's going to be making remarks. Let's go ahead and go to that for a moment and see what the president has to say.
But we'll go into a couple of other things in that we have the media present. It's always present, unfortunately, constantly. And I'll say a few words about what's happening in the Middle East. And if you have a couple of questions, we'll do that, and then we'll get on with our board meeting. So thank you very much for being here. We have a wonderful group of very, very smart, talented patriots at this table. Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated. The Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone. Many ships have been sunk. They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well. They've been a terror for 47 years, and now I guess the world, through the United States, with the help of Israel, is doing what should have been done many years ago. Should have been done many years ago. Since the beginning of the conflict, we've struck more than 7,000 targets across Iran, and these have been mostly commercial and military targets. We've achieved a 90% reduction in their ballistic missile launches and a 95% reduction in drone attacks. The missiles are trickling in now at very low levels because they don't have too many missiles left. We've also attacked the manufacturing plants, where the places where they manufacture the missiles and the drones, and that's going on today. We just hit 3 of them today, and it's getting very hard for them to manufacture. More than 100 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk or destroyed over the last week and a half. That has to be some kind of a record. Additional strikes continue to launch from all directions every single hour. And as you know, we attacked Carg Island and knocked it literally, and destroyed everything on the island except for the area where the oil is. I call it the pipes. We left the pipes. We didn't want to do that, but we will do that. We can do that on 5 minutes notice. It'll be over. But for purposes of someday rebuilding that country, I guess we did the right thing. But it may not stay that way. Just one simple word and the pipes will be gone too, but it'll take a long time to rebuild that. We are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability is getting down to close to zero. And we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess, and drop them in. But we don't know that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big negative for them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But we don't know that they have dropped any in. But we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We have it in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area, and which is one of the reasons they've always used that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very long. Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me. We have some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. And I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left. But they said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that that was said, because I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries, because I know that we'll protect them. And if we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago, predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check. About a year before the World Trade Center then came down, President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, these people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the Strait, and they should be in here very happily helping us. And it's incredible. We have such great, we're number one in oil by double now. We drill, baby, drill. We're double any other nation, and it's going to be soon triple any other nation. And that doesn't include Venezuela, who's been great. By the way, the relationship with Venezuela has been fantastic. Millions, literally millions of barrels of oil are being taken out. And it's been a great help, and it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job. We get along with him really well. But we've taken out millions of barrels of oil and brought to Houston and other places for to the refineries. We have refineries set up specifically for that. And it's been a great relationship, and more and more is happening. It's a tremendous oil source, and we're stepping it up very rapidly. The big companies are going in, and they will actually, numbers in a pretty short period of time, numbers that they've never been able to do, we'll be doing. There's a lot of oil under that land. We strongly encourage the other nations to get involved with us, and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm. I have that from a number of them, and I'd like to say their names, but frankly, I don't know if they would want me to or not, because maybe they don't want to be targeted. But I say, wouldn't matter if you're targeted or not, because this is a paper tiger that we're dealing with now. It wasn't a paper tiger 2 weeks ago. It's a paper tiger now. So now we're going to get down to the reason. We'll take a couple of questions in a moment, but we're going to get down to the reason we're here today. Actually, this was set up a long time ago. It's the Trump Kennedy Center. Over the past year, we've made incredible strides to restore the true purpose and prestige of this revered institution. Together, we're going to ensure it remains the finest performing arts facility of its kind anywhere in the world. And I don't know that it ever really reached that stage, but it will over a period of time. We're rebuilding it. It's in very, very bad condition. It's been it's been somewhat of a disaster, to be honest with you. It's been let go to hell. That's what they've done. They did a poor job. They spent money in the wrong places. They built some theaters underneath that nobody uses, little ones, tiny theaters that cost $300 million. And the money was spent incorrectly and wrong. We're dealing with some networks on the possibility of renting those little theaters. Nobody's going to use them. They want the big halls. The halls are going to be incredible. They're in bad shape, but when they're completed, the bones are potentially something that could be unbelievable. So I want to, before we begin, I want to thank Rick Grinnell. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's been unbelievable. He was the ambassador, as you know, to Germany. There was no happier woman in the world than Angela Merkel. Angela. She called me, thank you, sir, thank you. Although she liked Rick a lot, there was nobody happier that he was no longer going to be the ambassador to Germany. He was difficult for them. He was not your typical ambassador. He was the opposite. He would do what was best for the United States, not for Germany. And I want to tell you, he did a great job. So good that I put him in charge of a thing called intelligence. And something he didn't really want to do, but he did it, and he did it incredibly well. There were a lot of leakers. He found out the leakers. And when he didn't find out who the leaker was in a certain area, he fired everybody. And he went into one room where there was leaks coming out. These are long-term problems that these various places have had. And he said, who's the one that leaked this? And they wouldn't admit it, so he fired the whole room. And he did a good job, I'll tell you. He was very good. And during this transition period, I asked Rick if he would run it, because we wanted to see. And if you remember when we first took it over, I didn't do it with enthusiasm. I did it because somebody had to do it, had to turn it around, because it was failing. It would have closed, and physically it would have almost fallen down. It was in very bad shape. The steel columns outside, as an example, were meant to be covered. You know, exposed steel is unusual to have in building. What I do best in life is build. I build buildings really well and under budget and ahead of schedule. That's what I do, unlike the Fed building, which is going to cost billions of dollars. It may never open. I mean, right now, we have a wonderful a wonderful new head of the Fed coming in. I don't know if he'll ever be able to occupy this complex that was destroyed by Jerome Too Late Powell. I call him too late because he's always too late with interest. Should cut interest rates. He should cut them right now. They should have a special meeting. What's a better time to cut interest rates than now? A third grade student would know that. But that's a terrible thing. But what I do is build. I build great stuff. And what we're going to do is, right outside. In fact, if you look behind me, see the nice gold curtains? If you want to look into a nice foundation and you want to see a lot of work, very deep, very, very deep for specific reasons, we have.
All right, so let me bump in here real quick. I need to take this break. Trump is going to be taking questions from the media, and we will grab that when we get back on the other side. But a lot to address when it comes to what he's talking about with Iran and the oil and the paper tiger that they now are, and where we go from here. So the guitarist for Motorhead died over the weekend.
Yeah, he did. That only leaves the drummer.
I was watching them perform live at, I think it was one of the WrestleManias. You know,
Wow.
they sing Triple H's theme music, and they performed his song live as he came out. Also, Susie Wiles has been diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. Just found that out a few minutes ago. I didn't know about that, but let's go back live to the White House as we're going to keep this rolling real quick. Well, first, let me tell you about Noto Roofing. You know, TORoofing.com. Probably not safe to get out on your roof today, but once this weather gets out of the way, get it checked, man. With this weather that's been absolutely insane, we got a lot of wind coming up this afternoon. It's going to be prime time to get that roof inspected. So go ahead. You call them today and go ahead and set something up for later this week or next week and get it on the calendar. And that way, you know you're taken care of. Free roof inspection, complimentary roof tune-up, no charge, no strings attached. Best of the best. Y'all know how much Noto supports this show, so y'all show me some love by reaching out to Noto and letting them know I sent you. 205-848-2299. That's 848-2299 online, notoroofing.com. And it does look like, John Bird, the snow has let up a little bit here, but the ground is covered. The cars are covered.
Yep.
The
trees
lot,
are beautiful, though.
They do. They look. I mean, let me open this all the way. I've only been able to halfway watch this today.
Look at those trees. I'm gonna take a picture.
It's beautiful. All right, back live to the White House. Trump, I don't believe is taking questions yet, or he's about to start taking questions. So let's bring that to you live.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's been fantastic. I don't know, is Pam here someplace? Oh, hello, Pam. Good. She's been great. And the Speaker of the House, he's got the easiest job of anybody in government. He's got a majority of 2. I don't like to say 1 because it varies, but between 1, 2, and 3. And I think you're the only man that's ever lived that's able to be very happy about it. In fact, when we get up to 3, you know, every once in a while we get up to 3. Actually, for a period of time, we had it up to 4, and then we had a death. And death is very bad when you're the Speaker and you have a majority of 2 or 3. But we had a death, and then we had another death, and we had some things, and but we're looking very strong. We had one man who was very ill. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. I don't know. I won't mention his name. Should I? Do other people know his name? Do you want to mention it? He'll be proud. Go ahead. Tell him the story.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had some real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
What was the diagnosis?
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay. That's it was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with a heart problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
Right. So, the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and they had a conversation. And the president mentioned in the course of the conversation, you know how to get my doctors involved, and they did. And within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed Emergency Surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention. And thank you.
He actually called Mike called me, and he said, "Sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June." I said, "Who?" Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman. Incredible. He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, that's bad. Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you. And however long I live, I mean, it looks like June is the time, but however long I live, I'm going to be voting for you. I mean, how many people are going to say that? Most of them are going to say, Mike, I'm retiring immediately. That's the end.
He's an extraordinary
man.
But
he didn't do that. It was really impressive. And then I realized I have doctors in the White House. The White House doctors are incredible. And they've helped me with other people. They're helping me with people right now. People that are very sick are like they're miracle workers. And I said, I have to call them. And I called the two doctors, they're both great. And they immediately went over to see the congressman. And he was on the operating table like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And it was a long operation. They gave him more stents and more everything that you could have. I think he's got everything that you could possibly have. And they called up. They said, "Sir, I think he'll be fine." I said, "You got to be kidding." He said, "I think he'll be fine." And Mike was telling me the story that the other day he came into a meeting for the first time in a long while. Go ahead.
Well, it was incredible. I mean, he has a new lease on life. He has more energy than a man half his age, and very encouraged and encouraged all of us. So, again, a testament to great leadership. And my hat's off to Neil Dunn and his beautiful wife and family. He's an extraordinary individual.
And just, because I don't want to have a terrible story about this, I did it for him first and for the vote second. But it was a close second, actually. But I did it for the vote second. All right? I want to also introduce Susie Wiles, who's fantastic. She's our chief of staff. And she's an amazing person, an amazing fighter. And she announced a minor difficulty, which will be in good shape. Good shape for, he'll be around for a long time. She had a diagnosis, you probably saw it, and she's going to take care of it immediately as opposed to waiting. She said, "Let's do it now." I said, "Do it immediately," because with that particular ailment, the faster the better. That's the only thing I know about it. The faster the better. She's going to do it immediately. So she just started, actually. And she's going to be in great shape. The prognosis there is excellent, beyond excellent. So,
thank you, sir.
But who needs it, right?
That's right.
Who needs it? So before we took over, just a year ago, this wonderful place was literally on the verge of collapse. Both from a financial standpoint, maybe more from a financial standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint. And necessary maintenance has been ignored. The programming was very woke and out of touch with reality. And we had an orchestra that lost like $18 million a year, and they subsidized it every year. So what kind of an orchestra loses 18? And I'm being nice when I say 18, it was much more. And I started looking at the programming. They had tremendous union difficulties, like 19 different unions, and driving everybody crazy. And I think the unions are going to be great. I've always gotten along with unions. As you know, I got great union support. But you had 19 unions. Every time somebody wanted to put on a play, they had to deal with 19 different groups of people. And they say it was like Broadway, but worse. And you don't get worse than Broadway when it comes to the unions. I've watched that for many years. The programming was terrible. And they had a budget deficit of about $26 million minimum. Owed a lot of money. We're out borrowing money, which is a lot of people don't understand. So under the leadership of this exceptionally talented and rich board, it's a very rich board. Not everybody, but most of you are loaded. Ike Perlmutter's got so much money. Look at Ike Perlmutter. He ended up being the largest owner of Disney. Started with, was it $100 or less? It was a little less, Ike, right? He didn't speak English.
All right, so I'm going to hop in here again. I'm really just waiting until we get to the questions, and then we can kind of piggyback off of that and give you guys some info about where we're at with the war, with gas prices, which has been a lot of people's concern as of late. I want to explain to you what I know and what I understand about what's happening with the gas prices and where they're going and everything else. We'll get to the bottom of that. First, rack on 280. That is blocking on the, I guess this is the, what would that be? 280 280 eastbound. Mm-hmm. That would be right
on that
after
459 South ramp.
Yeah, right after the ramp. So, or I guess right there at it. It's Algo's got it pictured after the 459 interchange, but traffic's backed up going back towards Birmingham. The turning lane there is seemingly the lane that's blocked, but because of the weather and the bridges and everything else, it's just making it worse. So police are on the scene and everything else. If you're going 280 away from Birmingham, just be careful as you travel that way towards I guess that'd be towards Chelsea Way and all of that kind of stuff. So that's the only major wreck that we have right now. There are other wrecks on the interstate, such as coming into Birmingham on 2059, coming from Inslee. Another one right at Tallapoosa Street. No real backups there. And that seems to be just about all we've got in the Birmingham area. But just be safe out there. That's all we ask you to do. 205 545 9950. More of Trump live at the White House next. Underdog Fantasy. It's time for me to start telling you about Underdog again because of this. Underdog Fantasy. The big tournament is coming up, ladies and gentlemen, and that means it's going to be time for you to win yourself some money. That's right. Money, money, money. I want y'all to win money. I hadn't played Underdog. I guess in a few weeks. Life just got busy, and I wasn't really paying attention. But now I'm back in the game, baby. That's right. Because at the end of the day, the tournament's back. The upsets are inevitable, and Underdog's going to be the best place to get in on all the action. You can win money right now in Alabama, 100% legal. All you got to do is download the app and use my promo code HeyNow when you sign up. HEYNOW. Free to download, free to sign up. Get in there and start making picks. Y'all are all going to be filling out brackets, so why not make picks on Underdog as well? It's going to make this March that much more exciting. Download the app today and use promo code HeyNow to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. It's promo code HeyNow, all one word. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 19 or older and present in Alabama. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit ncpgambling.org. All right, so a couple more updates, and we'll go back to Trump. One further down 280. We told you about the one right there at 459 on 280, going 280 eastbound towards Chelsea. There is a wreck there. Police on the scene. That has got 280 backed up a decent bit, going back towards Birmingham. So keep that in mind. And then once you get a little further down 280, down near Inverness and Meadowbrook, apparently there's a stalled tanker, and the roads are kind of slick on that part of 280. People are sliding around. So just in general, because 280's got a few bridges, just be careful as you go through there. Drive slowly, pay attention, get off the phone, and all that. And you said there was another one, John Bird, but I did not see. You said we had something from Joe on the traffic.
This is actually from John. He says 2059 East between Bush Boulevard and Arkadelphia.
Yeah, that's the one coming from Inslee into Birmingham. That one is according to Algo, it's a major crash, but it happened about 10:49, and looks like the right lane on the eastbound side is blocked. So again,
yeah, he actually sent a picture because it was stopped and they're blocked big time.
Yeah. Be careful going through there, man. It's nasty out there. Let's go back live to the White House with the President of the United States as he takes questions from reporters.
Mr. Speaker, so I'll be reporting that to you in the House and the Senate, and I'll say, why are we protecting countries that don't protect us? And I've always felt that was a weakness of NATO. We were going to protect them, but I always said, when in need, they won't protect us. Now, this is in need. Need would be one of the big boys. But I will say that we built the greatest military in the world, and we protect people. And if we need their mine boats, or if we need anything, any piece of apparatus that they may have because of a situation that they have, they should be jumping to help us, because we've helped them for years stay out of wars. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Can you tell us if you have spoken with French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Have you been speaking with the French President?
What does that mean?
Have you been speaking with the French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect, but it's France.
Are you
We don't
confident?
expect perfect.
Are you confident that France will help with the reopening of Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think he's gonna help. I mean, I'll let you know. I spoke to him yesterday. I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spend a lot of money on, NATO and all of these things to protect you. I mean, we're protecting them. We're working with them on Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away, separated by a vast ocean. We don't have to do that, but we did it. Well, Biden did it. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Biden got taken to the cleaners. But we worked with them in Ukraine. We don't need to work with them in Ukraine. And then they tell us that we have a mine chip around, and they don't want to do it. I think it's terrible. No, I was very surprised. I told him, we requested 2 aircraft carriers, which they had, and he didn't really want to do it. And then right after the war essentially ended, meaning they were obliterated, he said, I would like to send the aircraft carriers. I said, I don't need them after the war has ended and won. I need it before the war. So I was very upset not upset, I was not happy with the UK. I think they'll be involved, yeah, maybe. But they should be involved enthusiastically. We've been protecting these countries for years with NATO, because NATO is us. You can ask Putin. Putin fears us. He has no fear of Europe whatsoever. He fears the United States of America and the military that was built by me in the first term. Yeah.
President, you mentioned the significant amount of oil that China derives from the Middle East. What is the status of your conversation with President Xi in terms of getting China to cooperate, in terms of making the Strait of Hormuz safe for those oil tankers?
Yeah, so China is a great example. They get 91% of their oil from the Hormuz Straits, which we protected for years. And it always bothered me that we have these countries. Japan gets 95% of its from the Straits, the Hormuz Straits. And it always bothered me that we're protecting and we don't need them. We didn't need them before we started dig we must. Dig me must, that's the Trump policy of lots of oil. And we didn't use them very much. It used to be at 10%. Now it's at almost 0. We don't need, we don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of the great assets that we have. We have more than double.
All right, so humping back in here. Got to keep up with these breaks, but we're going to bring you as much of this Q&A as possible and then get into some of the headlines, especially considering what Donald Trump is talking about in hour 3.